Welcome to the Agent to Agent podcast, the show that connects you with top real estate professionals across the country to uncover what life is really like in their communities. So, whether you are a fellow real estate agent looking for a trusted referral partner or somebody who's thinking about making a move, you'll find insider insights into what life is like in each of these communities to help you feel right at home no matter where you land. So, let's jump in. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Agent Agent podcast. Today, I am super excited. We have Bre Stephens, co-owner of the Simply Stephens real estate team up in Atlanta, Georgia, with Keller Williams ATL Partners. Now, Bre has built her business on relationships and service, two core things that are just super important to her in everything that she does. So without further ado, I'm just going to welcome Bre to the stage. Hey, Bre, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you, Chris? Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Thanks for being a guest here on the podcast. I'm super excited to have you here with us today. So I always just like to jump right in. I know that your time is valuable, so is all of our guests. So why don't you tell our audience a little bit about you? How did you get into real estate? What are you up to now? And what do they need to know about you?
Yeah. So things started for me in real estate. I've been doing this for about 8.5 years now. And I just turned 28 this summer. So I started really young, decided pretty quickly that college wasn't going to be something I'd want to pursue long term, and started looking for a career. And that's kind of how I stumbled upon real estate. I often like to say my mom actually was in real estate back in the 90s and then took a little sabbatical before getting back into real estate. And I thought this could be maybe a career I could pursue as well. And so we kind of joined forces. I joined her under her team that was just the two of us at the time. And then a couple years later, Simply Stephens was born. And now we are here kind of 8 years later, and there's 6 of us, 7 of us on the team. And we're continuing to grow, which has been a really fun, fulfilling, kind of exciting experience to do together, to be able to have built this for so long. So yeah, it's just really great. It's my passion. I love helping people, and I love being in connection with people. And this is like the perfect blend of those two things. So I love it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I feel that, it's so interesting. There's a resounding theme to a lot of the great professionals who I feel I have the opportunity of talking with and how they got into the business. And it never, ever seems like they just knew I'm just going to get into real estate. It always happened to be, I don't want to call it a stepping stone, right? But they had some type of expectation or profession before, and then found themselves in the business. So I know that you kind of were looking, you said college wasn't really your thing. You ended up in real estate. Now, did you search for different types of entrepreneurship or business opportunities outside of real estate first, or did you just kind of find yourself in real estate because, of course, the relationship that you have with your mom and the fact that she was already in the business? Like, how did that come about?
It was a little bit timing, and a little bit searching. I was working at a ziplining place, actually. I love the outdoors. I spent a lot of time growing up, like a lot of time in Tennessee, and just spending times like rappelling and doing all sorts of climbing and things of that nature. So I thought this was also a great passion. Maybe this is something I could pursue. But I started to kind of climb that ladder, if you would call it that, there. And I saw where the end was, and it was pretty near, and it didn't support the life I wanted to build. And so I kind of moved on from that pretty quickly. So it was more or less roadblocks that I was hitting. And then I was actually working at a pet store in the grooming section. I won't name any names. And I had gotten to kind of an intersection with them where they were offering me an opportunity, actually. And that opportunity came with a dedicated timeline to stay there. And I thought, could I see myself happy here 5 years still doing this? Would I
Mm.
see myself happy 10 years still doing this? Why would I waste 5, if I'm not going to be happy in 10? And the answer was just no. And so I started searching for something else. And in that same time was when my mom, Anita, was coming out of that kind of sabbatical too, and searching for her next career, which ended up being kind of back at her first. And so the timing just kind of lined up. She had gotten back into real estate about 6 months before this. And so I called her and said, hey, can we get brunch? I was living about an hour and a half away at the time. So we met up for brunch, and I just asked, what is this real estate world really like? And she kind of said the same thing. It's all about service and connection. And I was like, this is right up my alley. This sounds great.
Yeah.
And I just never looked back.
That's all. That's awesome. I think that what self-awareness I feel like you had what did you say, like at the age of 20? Was that around that age?
I was 18, 19. And then I moved back to Buford where my parents were living the weekend that I turned 20, and I started working with her that Monday. So it was essentially since I've been 20 is my like real estate anniversary, I say, as well. So
that's very cool. I think that's so awesome, that self-awareness that you had at that time, like asking yourself, like, if I've got to commit 5 years, like, am I going to be happy in 5 years? But more importantly, like, if I even take that out 10 years, is it even worth investing 5 years? Is it going to get me that? And most people at that age, I feel like you're not really thinking that far. And I think that's such a great mindset to have. And here you are, co-owner of your own team and servicing your community and building your own life by design. And I think that's just an amazing thing, amazing place to be in. What would you say, like, what market do you serve? I know you're in the Atlanta area. Atlanta means that's a big area. So like, what area do you serve, and what would you say makes the area that you serve unique?
Yeah, so there's a little bit of uniqueness, I'll say, just alone to our service area. And some of that is accredited to our team and how well connected our team is, I'll say. So I live a lot closer to Atlanta itself. I'm just outside of the perimeter. So I service a lot of the things that happen for our team inside the city, as well as up into the North Georgia mountains. We help a lot of people with investments and second homes, things like that in the Blue Ridge Mountain Range. But the base of our team is actually about an hour to an hour and a half northeast out of Atlanta. So if you're familiar with Lake Lanier, Chateau Alon, Gwinnett County, Brazelton, if any of that rings a bell, that's really where the heart of our team is. So we service a pretty large area just due to our team, and it allows us to have that, which is great. And some of the uniqueness, I'll say, to our area that we've been experiencing is a lot of hyper local bubbles where it's very specific to zip codes, and even within that, even smaller, like specific cities and towns. Days on market, competition, with buyers, which of course comes with that. List price, sales price, all of that is very, very hyper local. So something that's happening in Gwinnett County, all of those cities are happening very specific to their own self, which is very unique, I'll say, compared to like the COVID market that everyone likes to call it, 2020 through 2022. Things were pretty crazy everywhere. It was, I would say, not really relative to area. Things are very high competition, low days on market. And now you have that in some areas, and you have long days on market in other areas. So it's just very interesting. It's become a very, very skill-based market. You can't just know about a general area. You have to be willing to know data and put in time to be very specific in some of those cities as well.
How does that impact your strategies between communications with sellers, right? Because you're gonna have one strategy with a seller, right? I feel like a lot of consumers, they take a look, they're looking at headlines, nationwide news, right? And it's this blanket effect that was, it was very, you could rely on that in a sense, if you will, during the COVID market, like you were talking about. It was really a blanket scenario. But to your point now, and you're not the first person to talk that I'm talking about, like these microcosms of markets. So how is your communication with potential sellers going? And then how does that relate to the conversations you're having with buyers and guiding them to their particular, neighborhoods or suburbs that may fit them?
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely two completely different conversations right now. With sellers, we're having a lot of conversation of pricing ahead of the market.
Hmm.
Whereas before, you could look at the comps for the solds in the last 3 to 6 months, and that's probably going to be relative to what things are still doing now, or at least the direction things are heading in. Now, in a shifting market, or a more balanced market, whatever you want to call it, it's really more looking at pendings, focusing a lot more on list price to sales price, getting really specific in properties and as local as you can. And so that's very much the conversation that we're having there, not relying on things 6 months, even 4 months, 3 months ago. It's as close to sold as we can get it, and even the pendings and all of those. And then with buyers, it's very similar, but in a very different way. We're having a lot more power to negotiate now, which is great. So it's a lot more conversation of what's more important to them. Is it the
Right.
price, or is it negotiating power to buy down their rate or get closing costs to help them do things, or asking for repairs if the value is still there in the home? And we know that values aren't just falling off the map. There's still expected to be appreciation. It's just slowed down dramatically from what people have expected from the last few years.
Sure.
So it's a lot of conversations, I think, of reassuring people of value, and that this is still a great time to buy. Interest rates are still very great, if you have buying power. So that's the two different conversations that we're having.
Yeah, absolutely. I find it interesting, the dynamic that we have in the market with kind of like the new homeowners who are coming in, like the younger generation, right? Who they've got this, they know the housing market of 2008. And while it's completely different scenario, like everything is completely different in the market today, but like they just see that. And like, there's that big fear that kind of comes along with that. So definitely a lot of education. And to your point, not just knowing blanket of everything, but just being very specific about how you're having these conversations with your clients, and making sure that you have the data available and understood, so that you can convey that message to them. What would you say is, what draws people to your community? Are you seeing a lot of people moving into your area from other areas, or is it more kind of like, moving from like the south side of Atlanta to the north side, or like, what does that look like right now?
Around Atlanta specifically, there's a lot of different, I will say, types of markets. There's definitely a large job market around Atlanta, a lot of medical job spaces as well. So we do have a lot of incoming people, I'll say, and I guess kind of on that same hand, have people leaving. So a lot of work related things that happen, and a lot of people, I feel like, that are shifting out in their respective types of areas. Like there's a lot of talk and buzz around people leaving Gwinnett County, which has always been a very large, predominant county that's in like the Atlanta metro area. And a lot of people are moving out even a little bit further east into like Barrow and Jackson and some of those other places. And I feel like similarly, people are kind of now moving out into Gwinnett from Atlanta that maybe were younger and have started families, or whatever that looks like, looking for a slower pace of life, have started to kind of leave the city too. So it is a lot of that still change that you see. There's a lot of growth and development that's happening around Atlanta. A lot of shifting around the west side of Atlanta with the World Cup coming in a couple years, or I guess next year now. So a lot of just development changes too. Yeah. So there's been a lot of shifting in the city. So it's always a constant ebb and flow, I'll say, in Atlanta.
Yeah. So it sounds like there's a lot of sprawl out there in Atlanta too. So like, you used to have that metro area and everybody was very condensed, but now you're seeing a lot of people kind of like looking to those suburbs, right? Whether for a different lifestyle of living, or maybe there's more budget friendly price points as you get a little bit further out. So Well, so if somebody who doesn't know Atlanta other than the ATL and some of the songs that it falls into, right? Like, if somebody were moving there, what's one thing that you tell them to help them feel at home, like that they should know?
I would say that in one of the things that I've always loved about Atlanta in the greater metro of Atlanta, is that there is so much diversity in areas that you can always find your kind of local niche community, that fits into whatever type of dynamic in lifestyle that you're looking for. If you are looking to be in the city, in the hustle and bustle and walking around, you can be in Midtown and be close to things. But if you like a more relaxed lifestyle and setting, but still great community feel where you're close to your neighbors and all of those things, we have great road access, I feel like, at least, to still be able to quickly get around, to come into the city and enjoy the great things that we have to offer, but not have to live right in the center of all of it. So it just gives you a lot of options for lifestyle and community to be able to find. It's one of the things that I've always loved.
Right. And if you're an avid Coca-Cola drinker, Coca-Cola is a big thing there too.
Yes. I'm sure I have my little Coca-Cola guy over here somewhere. Yes.
Where?
Hopefully you do too. Yes.
I got it. See?
Yes. Yeah. You have to come visit me. I'll take you on a tour at the World of Coke.
Yes, I was there. Oh my gosh. It was probably single digit years. Like when I was young, I went to an Atlanta Braves game. This isn't about me. I went to an Atlanta Braves game for my birthday. My parents took me to Coca-Cola. It was great. Got all sugared up and brands. But it was a great time for everybody who has not been. If you find yourself in Atlanta, you definitely got to go and check out the Coca-Cola place. But you should first call Bre so you can get the personalized tour and get a great person in your corner for when you're in the city. So awesome. Are there any like hidden gems that you would say are just your favorite places that you're like, people probably don't know about, but they should?
Something that I've been talking a lot about lately with my friends, so they're probably done hearing about it, but the Georgia Aquarium, if you've not been, I know a lot of people do know about it, but I don't think people understand the just gravity of how huge this place is.
Yeah.
It's, I believe, and someone can fact check me, it's the second largest aquarium in the world by water mass. And so it houses some animals that just physically can't be housed in a lot of other aquariums and places. And I've seen a lot of very beautiful aquariums in other states and cities, but the Georgia Aquarium, there's just something astounding about how massive some of the animals there are, the exhibits, and it's very educational. All the staff there is just super friendly. So it's one of our favorite places to go. So I would say you have to come there. The Braves are always amazing to come see, and seeing the Atlanta United play at the Benz, that is also a beautiful stadium, even to just go drive by. So not necessarily hidden gems, but things that I think are definitely worthwhile coming to see and check out, and even worth planning trips around. Because it's just always a good time in Atlanta. That's one of the other great things. There's just always something going on.
That's I completely forgot about that aquarium. And I'm like a big aquarium person. I think that aquarium has like two or three whale sharks or something in it. I think it's the one in Japan is the only one that is larger by water volume. So I think it's really cool that you've got that in your backyard, because that's that's such a great.
It's amazing. We have passes, so we go like multiple times a month. It's awesome. We actually, unfortunately, just lost one of our whale sharks like 3 days ago.
Oh, that's sad.
Yes, but he lived a long, beautiful life there. So
how do you know how old?
He had been, so we can go on a little tyrant on this. He was rescued from a seafood market in Taiwan, actually, and brought over here. And so he was named after the some sort of like Taiwanese like goddess of some kind of like protector of something. And he was here for the past 20-ish years. So he had lived like a really long life, but his health had been declining. And so because they do all sorts of medical
Mm-hmm.
like research and things. That's one of the great things about the aquarium that I love about it is it's a true conservancy and research center. It's not just like a come look at me type of place.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's a really, really awesome place, and it's worth spending money to come to.
That's all. There you go. And that's your reason right there for moving and or visiting.
Yeah.
Like that's it. You don't need any other reasons, that and the Braves, but awesome. So Bre, I know that customer service and relationships are like very important, if not the most important thing that you've built your business around, right? So how would you describe your approach or your team's approach to serving your clients?
We like to take a very family-based approach of if this was my mom, my sister, my
Mm-hmm.
brother, my best friend even, that was on this transaction, how would I want them helped and how would I want them served and who would I want them in contact with? What would I want all of their resources available to be? And we've tried to just build everything we can around that to be the central hub of anything that you could need, and trying to be that central just basis point too of the intermediary between the
Mm-hmm.
attorney, the lender, everything that we can do to make it as seamless as possible. We try to do. Just being that we are a family team, it's very easy
Right.
for us to treat each other like family, and kind of just carry that culture. We've always been like that just in our regular lives as well. So it just is very easy to resonate that. And I feel like we attract that as, Anita and I, as our team members. And as we've continued to grow, those are the type of members that we attract as well. So that's just been really great to see.
That's awesome. Would you say outside of that, is there anything else that really you'd say really sets you and your team apart from other agents and other teams in your area, whether that be from feedback that you've been getting from clients or just something that you noticed that, you guys have been filling in the marketplace?
I think that one of the feedbacks we definitely get is that we do go above and beyond. And people are usually astounded by some of the care that we have for our clients and just throughout the transaction, some of the touch points and just little celebrations throughout the way to just really let them know we're on your side and
Mm-hmm.
we're here to support you and whatever is best for you. There's never a feeling that we're some way in this for ourselves. And I think that our clients feel that from us. And I think that that's helped us to really build that network of people want to send their friends and family to us because they felt that love and care. They want their friends to be helped in the same way, in their
Right.
real estate transactions. So it's been really easy, that word of mouth to spread, which has been really, really great.
Awesome. Very good. Well, we know that in real estate that relationships are key, right? Whether that's client customer relationships with you as the agent, whether that's our professional relationships with vendors that we work as part of the process, title companies, inspectors, contractors, you name it. And then on the other side of the coin is also the relationships with other agents, both local agents and agents abroad, right? Because we all want to know a great agent that serves an area that we might need somebody in so that they're just not going into the abyss of the multitude of phone calls that they could end up getting if they plug their information into one
Yeah.
wrong site. You might have to change phone numbers, right? So
Yeah. Right.
what I'd love to kind of delve into is a little bit about like when you do receive those referrals and you're working, with those partnerships, right? What's most important to you when you receive a referral, whether that comes from a client or a fellow agent?
I think it comes down to gratitude and communication. If I were to really break it down to its core, we're extremely grateful when people think of us when they think of real estate and for the opportunity to serve people that they're in
Mhm.
connection with. And it's not something that we take lightly. We have a lot of gratitude in that. And then I think just to the open communication back and forth of how we're helping serve them and that they are in good hands and kind of keeping them in the loop. Because you always love to know when you refer someone out to to anything, how was that? How was your experience? Did you love that restaurant that I sent you to?
Right.
Whatever it is, you always kind of love to know. So we love to touch base even then throughout the process of, they got closed. We're super excited that they got moved down here. Thank you so much. Keeping them in connection and kind of still a part of that story, I think is really important to me.
Absolutely. Again, back to the relationships. That's what I keep. That's the story. That's the message that I hear in everything that you're saying. It comes to the relationships and the experience that you're getting. So, I mean, we know that like we always love the referrals coming in from other agents, from our clients and stuff, but it's not all back to the relationships. It's not all about just the business that we get. So I'm curious, like, what do you do? How do you manage and maintain and build on those relationships, right, with other agents? Because it's not like necessarily we're connecting with one another every single day because we're not in transaction with each other every day, right? So I feel that it's a very fine balance, right? It's like, how do you stay part of the world without making it seem like you're doing it, I don't want to say nefarious reasons. That's not the right adjective, but I think you understand what I mean. Like, how do you balance that? How do you build on those relationships as you get them?
Yeah, I think it's two things for me. One of them is making sure I'm also coming from a place of adding value to them, because you can't just expect referrals from people if you're not in some way adding value back to them. So if there are opportunities for me where there's maybe a skill I have or a spreadsheet I've made or some way that I can help in their business or help them grow or bounce an idea off of, I love those opportunities to be able to step in and do those things and help back, because I feel like it always comes back to you. So I love the opportunity to then return the favor, I guess you would say. And then I also think that it comes down to just truly building genuine connections. I wouldn't say that I'm selective necessarily in the people I would build referral networks with, in whatever way and shape that takes. But I am intentional in the ones that I build, that we are aligned in our core and that we are the same type of person or share in similar values, so that I have a genuine interest in their lives and their well-being. So I truly am interested in pursuing that connection and keeping up with them. So I think it's just building relationships, and truly like friendships is the way that I like to view it. They're more so my friends than they are referral partners.
Right. We call them referral partners because that's the business.
Yeah, because we can write that off.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you and I, we met at the big conference, Keller Williams conference, right? Family reunion through, I'm wearing it on the shirt, KWYP, the Young Professionals Group. And that's also what I found too in that community is, there's a lot of people who know a lot of people. And of course we know that referrals get passed around, but it really truly feels like a family dynamic, like a friendship of dynamic. And people are really excited we just got back from mega camp, right? And everybody was just really excited to be able to like hang out as people. Yeah. And I think that might be a nuance that oftentimes gets overlooked. And I think we do that with our clients too, in some capacity, right? We have the opportunity to decide and choose who we work with. And I think we're always looking to, find our tribe and who we want to be in business with, be in relations with, and, ultimately how we can bring value to the people in our lives outside of that. So, selectiveness, I'd say it's okay to be selective, right? Because everybody is in some capacity. So, so what do you like to do, right? Kind of, what are some of your favorite local spots in Atlanta that, people need to know about outside of the aquarium and Coca-Cola?
So it depends on what you're going for. If you're looking for nightlife and like going out, one of our favorite spots has moved to a new-ish location in Atlanta Underground, which is being completely redone right now. So if you've not been to the whole Underground Atlanta area, it used to be like a old subway or train station.
I was gonna say, isn't that where the subway and stuff was?
Yeah, years and years ago. And I remember going as a kid, even they had vendors and little shops and all of those things. But it was closed for quite some time. It's reopened. One of our favorite like clubs to go to is MJQ. You must get your tickets ahead of time, at least like a week ahead, because they'll drop pre-sale tickets. If you don't have tickets, you'll wait for about an hour and a half at the door to get in. But if you have a ticket, you'll just walk right in, right past all the peasants, as I
VIP
like to call
status.
them when we go by. So that's one of my favorite spots. They have multiple like DJs in different rooms and bars.
Okay.
So you can kind of pop around, feel different vibes. So that's one of the great things. There's a few different bars and things that are popping up there. And then another one of our favorite kind of strips and places to go is called Joystick. And it's like a little arcade bar over in like the old Fourth Ward area. And there's a few really great spots kind of down that whole area right around there that are good to check out as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Very cool. I vaguely remember that underground that you were talking, as you were talking about it, and it was getting glimpses of back when I was like barely able to hold a memory.
Yeah. I had like a leather bracelet that I got stamped and I was like 6 years old or something from there, you know? Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, that's awesome to see that they're kind of like redoing that, repurposing, you know.
It's been really great. It's been really great, honestly. A lot of the West Side area has been changing. And the Beltline that they've been working on, which is like a greenway, essentially, if you're familiar with how Atlanta and the perimeter looks, right? It's a walking path that kind of mimics the perimeter that's inside the perimeter, which has created a lot of really awesome access from Midtown out into the Fourth Ward and up over north, and it's been really great. So I'm hoping they like connect it all fully. And there's talk of kind of how that path may look. So we'll hear more on that as it's to come. But there's been a lot of development happening out on the West Side, and it's just been really great. All of the redevelopment and seeing things change. It's been really cool. I'm a Georgia native. I've been here my whole life. My family's been here for generations. So it's been cool to see stories that my grandparents have told me about these old areas and buildings and how all of it's shifted into what it is now and what I know it to be and like what it will be, 20 years from now. So it's really cool to be a part of all of it.
That's awesome. Are there any, so I know that you're hoping that they do some of these developments and kind of interconnect that. Are there any current developments underway or any current trends that are happening locally where you are that you're really excited about or that you're looking forward to?
There's a ton of stuff going on right now because the World Cup is coming here. It's honestly been a lot to kind of keep up with because it's so much. But there's been some really awesome kind of like multi-use type spaces that I've started to see that are like workspace downstairs, living space upstairs, which I've always thought was a really interesting dynamic. And I'm starting to see some of those complexes popping up like close to the Benz Stadium and close to where all of that's kind of going to be at the heart. So there's a lot of anticipation for the thousands and thousands of people that are coming for that and a lot of things being built around that. So I'm interested to see where we land 2 years from now on the West Side and how much that's changed.
Yeah. Now I'm curious because I feel like I've heard stories before, right? Like cities or countries, they'll host the World Cup and they'll build these like cities for that. And then like the World Cup is over. And then there's like, okay, it has served its purpose. And now they're just like vacant areas with real no value. Like, are you seeing the city doing a good job, or are they kind of building that out with like the end in mind where it's like all of this development and stuff that you're seeing in preparation for that is going to be in a position to be able to be repurposed or used after the fact to where like you can continue that growth, development, and trend on the West Side of Atlanta?
I think it will. There's been a lot of growth kind of heading in that direction anyway. So I think that this will help provide a lot of new housing and jobs and traffic access as they've been like working on roads and bridges to kind of prepare some of those things too. So I think it'll be a net positive after. So I'm not worried that it end up being like a mass vacancy over there by any means.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, that's some exciting things in the pipeline coming down for sure. So, well, as we wrap up here, Bre, I really appreciate you being part of the show. Can you tell everybody where can people connect with you or learn more about your business, social media, website? Like where are you at?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Bre Sells ATL. It's Bre BRE, and then Sells like SELLS ATL. You can reach me on my cell at 706-218-9508 or email me at bre@ssreteam.com.
Awesome. Awesome. There you have it, everybody. And is there any final thoughts you'd like to share with the audience, agents, clients who might be watching this show? Anything you'd like to leave our audience with today?
I would say just don't be scared to ask questions and step into rooms that maybe you feel like could be above you or with people that are scary and intimidating. That can be sometimes where you meet the best people, make the best connections, and learn some of the best kind of key nuggets and things that can really shift your mindset. So ask questions of people that you admire and don't be scared to kind of step out into things.
Awesome. That's fantastic feedback. Real estate or otherwise, these are words of wisdom from Bre to end this podcast. So Bre, thank you so much for coming on, being a guest to the Agent podcast. It was a great conversation. Look forward to maybe a future opportunity for you to come back on and, kind of share where you are there and kind of like what your growth and journey has been since then. But until next time, everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is Bre Stephens over in the Atlanta area, your go-to person, real estate and everything needed. So make sure that you connect with her, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to the Agent to Agent podcast, where we connect you with the people and the places that help make moving feel easier. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to follow along for insider looks at communities across the country. And connect with me if you'd like help getting connected with a trusted agent, no matter where life takes you. We'll see you next time.